Hey, everybody. Welcome back into the podcast. My friend Keith over there, right there. How are you doing today, Keith?
My life is a movie, Jay.
It is.
Bull riding and boobies.
Oh.
Cowboy hat from Gucci.
Yeah.
Wrangler on my booty.
Ooh. You been riding Old Town?
Oh, you know that one. Okay.
Yeah, I do. I know Lil Nas X.
Okay.
I know Billy Ray Cyrus more than I know Lil Nas X, but I'm a fan. I like it. It's pretty good. I'm happy for him with that particular song.
I have a 10-year-old. That's how I know it.
Oh, well, I know it because of the controversy that it stirred up within the music industry. As usual, they jump on the bandwagon after they realize they shouldn't have taken it off, and
yeah,
they put it back on and go, "Ooh, we're losing a little money here. We better put this gold mine back on." So
yeah, those guys in the music industry, and I sort of speak with some authority on this. They wouldn't know a good idea if it was a beer truck labeled "Good Idea" on the side.
Ooh, that's a good brand. Good idea.
There you go.
You want to open a brewery up and call that?
You heard it here first.
Yeah, good idea.
So I brought that up because we've got something a little later in the podcast that we want to get to.
Yeah,
I'm sort of teasing it, as they say, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to preface this as Jay is no expert to the level of what Keith is in this regard. So we're going to have fun with it, though.
It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be. It'll be fun. Oh, and by the way,
keep watching and listening.
Look at you wearing your championship St. Louis Blues gear today.
Yeah, smells good in here.
I'm impressed. Now, hey, yeah, it does. Smells like
my sister. Well, this was a gift from my sister. She made it. So
did you know that I didn't marry. My son married
my
into
sister? That would be weird.
No. I didn't marry your sister, man. I don't think I've ever met your sister. But anyway, no, my son married into a family from St. Louis, and they are huge blues fans.
Yeah.
And
no surprise there.
I took some stabs during the season.
Okay, well, yeah, we're used to. This isn't new unless this is your first, welcome to the podcast if it is.
Right.
I moved to my home now in Nashville. I've lived in Nashville since 95. But when I moved here, there was no hockey team. There still is no baseball team. I'm actually fine with that.
There was no football team either.
There was no football team.
We had nothing.
I was here the year the Tennessee Oilers became a thing. So, yeah. Anyway, I just basically have stayed loyal to those teams because, I don't know. I don't like changing horses in the middle of a stream,
No, I'm with you. But, you guys changed your horse in the middle of the stream last year and ended up winning the Stanley Cup. You got rid of your coach. Remember, it's a mid-season coaching change. So
yeah, so you're hoping that works for the Predators? Is that your? Is that the magic? Is that what they're trying to do here?
I think that's what they're trying to do. Fire the coach. Yeah, it's not going to happen. There's trouble in the forest, my friend. There's trouble in the forest. You know who we should talk to about that, because he is quite the hockey expert and give us some great insight. And we keep talking about Brooklyn Ken, man.
Oh, Ken's a big hockey fan.
Oh, he sits right behind the press box, man, at the Preds.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, he's season ticket holder, man. He's diehard. We need to get him on and talk to him.
Every
about that
hour is an hour closer to us having that. We got it. Yeah, we got to.
We got to have that conversation. So anyway,
so you you made a comment yesterday. We were trying to decide podcast topic. That sometimes things just fall into our lap.
They do. They do.
So this is going to come with a little bit of a warning because I'm about to get fired up.
Hold your cool, Keith.
I might need some duct tape.
Hold your cool.
Keep my head from exploding. But this is not unique to Nashville, although the news story that I've got here is a Nashville news story. This is happening all around the country. It's highly controversial.
Very controversial.
And it's incredibly stupid. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now that I've teased that, let me mention quickly, if you are listening to this podcast as opposed to watching it, please be aware that we have a video version of the show on YouTube. It's youtube.com/thepartscountergurus.
Love it.
You can
Our
go
own
watch
channel.
the show. Yep. There's other content on there as well. It's not just this like hour-long and change variety format show. We've got video segments, shorts, how-tos, product reviews. We're literally throwing more stuff up every week.
We're challenging ourselves. We're challenging ourselves. We really are.
Right.
We're wanting to try new things for you guys to build that interest and build our audience, and we're just having a blast with this stuff, man. So
indeed. And so if you're listening to this, thank you for listening. Welcome,
yes.
As Jay said. If you have not yet subscribed on YouTube, please go over to YouTube and do that. That would be a huge favor to us. It helps us like unlock. I feel like I'm playing a video game. I get to unlock certain things at certain levels, but it really does matter. So thank you.
It does, for sure. We need all the support we can get from you guys, man. We can only do it with you.
Are you ready for me to get into this?
Let's go. I'm ready, man. I'm really interested to talk about this. This is going to be interesting.
Well, you've got the news story up, right?
I do, yes.
Do you want to read the news story?
I do, and it was funny.
While I gather my thoughts?
Yeah. So last night, just so you guys, Keith and I are in constant contact. I mean, there's really never an hour or a day that we're not having some sort of dialogue going on between the two of us, whether it be a joke, a meme, or something, or him calling me out, me calling him out, or it's just kind of just a ribbing, you know.
Those autoresponders that your phone will give you the option, when you open a text. I need to come up with a custom set of autoresponders for you that have that start with the word dude.
Oh, or man.
And I'll bet you that if I could do that and throw in a couple of my usual like vernacular, I bet I could. I bet I could keep you going for an hour, and you wouldn't even know that I wouldn't even know it.
I've done that, by the way. I've just sent text and just whatever came up and sent it, and you get that. You get the question marks back. Like what?
Right.
No, you're in the grocery store buying cucumbers for what? What? Anyway. Cucumbers scare cats, by the way. Did you know that? If you put one behind a cat, man, and they turn around and look at it, they'll jump like 6 feet off the ground.
Wow.
Cats do not like cucumbers.
There's a reason I knew I didn't trust cucumbers. Now I know why.
Yeah. So anyway, last night, I get this text from Keith, and he sends me this news article, and I immediately just started going off, and he goes, "That's exactly what I said." We're always on the same page when it comes to stuff. So the brilliant minds in the fine city of Nashville and surrounding Nashville, Franklin and Murfreesboro and those guys all working together to kind of clean our air. The story broke that apparently Nashville has proposed an ordinance to fine $50 for idling 3+ minutes in vehicles. Now, the way it works is Metro Council members in Nashville will again hear a proposed ordinance that would impose a $50 fine for people caught idling in their vehicles for longer than 3 minutes. Council members are hearing the measure this week, I think, they say, for the second time after members pushed it through on first reading. It's a measure proposed. Can I mention this Metro Council person?
Oh, please. Yeah.
Okay.
It's public figure, yeah.
Proposed Metro Council member Tanya Hancock is the one that brought this thing up. She says the bill applies for vehicle idling for longer than 3 minutes while parking, running, or stopping. But if you're in a school zone, idling for just 1 minute could cost you $50. She's hoping people in the car line will turn off their engines while waiting. Hancock explained that this is all part of the goal to reduce CO2 emissions by 30% by 2030. Yeah, Good luck with that.
So,
what was my first? What did I say to you?
You said something along the lines of,
I'm assuming that government vehicles, local, metro government vehicles, and that includes police.
You went to the biggest
fire,
offenders,
right?
Which are
these guys,
emergency services,
yeah,
and right.
Now,
and Jay,
yep.
This was, if there was ever a sign that we were supposed to talk about this,
right?
On my way back this morning to get here to do this podcast,
yeah,
I passed sitting in the median, windows down.
Yeah.
It's 25 degrees out here this morning.
Right.
Having a little conversation, a little water cooler chat. Two police department officers having a chat. Windows down, talking to each other.
Typical.
Now,
they're probably sitting there having a sandwich, a breakfast sandwich, or a cup of coffee, and yeah.
Look, chief of police who lives in my neighborhood, that's completely up to you. If you're okay with that, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it.
No.
Right? Like, if you want to allow that, fine. That's your crew to run. You're in charge of their behavior. I don't have an issue with it. If I see that, I'm fine with it. It's just fine. But if the purpose of this, here we go. Okay. If the purpose of this bill, and I have the bill right here, and I'm going to read it so that we can further decide what the purpose of this bill is. Okay?
Okay, let's hear it.
If the purpose of this bill is to try and reduce pollution, okay, which, by the way, good for you, okay? My wife says I have to say one nice thing when I start the conversation before I can go into the negatives. So here we go. If you were trying, Tanya, to reduce pollution, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about why this is a horrible idea. Okay?
Right. It sounds like to me they're trying to produce revenue.
Boom. Okay, so first of all, if you really, really, really care about the environment and your goal is, and you think, and we haven't even gotten into whether this is actually going to make a difference or not. We will. But if you think that this is going to make a difference, the first place you have to go is all the fire trucks and all the police cars that sit there and run for an hour. They don't need to. That
I might add have been modified from its original emission standards from the factory that meet all EPA standards to be a low emissions vehicle, so that they can
all that off to make it run faster.
To make it run faster. That's exactly right.
Your biggest offenders, and if you're going to impose this on the community, your constituents, and you're going to let them have a free pass,
right?
Okay, which I already know you are because I have a copy of the bill.
Right. I can't wait to hear this.
You're not doing anything for the environment, and here's the worst part about this.
Right.
You're a hypocrite. This is why people despise government leadership, and sometimes it makes them hate the police, and it's not even the police's fault, is because this comes off as a hypocritical act that does nothing but it's oppressive. Okay. Well, okay, let's go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead and read. Well, first of all, I'd like to say this, is that when I read the article, I mean, going through my mind the entire time I'm reading, and I haven't seen the bill, so this is going to be good. I'm interested in knowing all this. This is the most ill-informed individual about how vehicles operate and where we're at with it. Yeah,
did we do any kind of research on this in terms of hiring an outside source that says, here's show me projections, okay? If let's run it like a company.
Right.
You think this is going to make a difference? Good idea. Show me how much of a difference you think it's going to make. Get some professional in here to give you estimates. If we enforce this, what's it going to do? Just guess. Show me something, right?
Right.
Hasn't been done.
Of course not.
Okay? If you're going to go down this road of it's going to make a difference, then you've got to show me first.
This is a streamlined ordinance to push through for the sole purpose of gaining revenue. That's it.
Okay. So
that's it.
I agree. And I'm going to back that up with facts because we try to deal in the factual here. Controversy's fun, but It's sometimes maddening if you don't have facts. So Metropolitan Davidson County, which is Nashville, is broke. How do I know this? Because they tell us all the time. Because the mayor's going on television saying we don't have enough money to pay our bills. The police can't. They're short-staffed and they can't hire enough help. Public information. They're going on the news. They're saying we need more help. We don't have please, Mr. Mayor, we need more money to pay more employees.
Public education.
Our educators are freaking out because they can't. They haven't gotten. They finally did get a raise after something like 10 years. They can't pay the city cannot pay the bills. Okay.
Right.
This isn't me speculating or opining. They're telling us this. This isn't a secret. They can't pay their bills. So the solution was, well, let's develop more to raise more tax revenue because there's more people moving in paying property tax. But they didn't realize that that's a Ponzi scheme. Because then what happens is you have more people living here. You need more cops. You need more firefighters. You need more schools. You just tax the infrastructure to the point that it can't sustain the number of people that you moved in. So now you got to pay for more infrastructure. And this has been going on for 10 years, and they don't have any money to fix it.
Right. So let's just keep throwing those draft parties, too, by the way. Let's just keep...
There you go. But everybody come to town, trash the city, and... Right. Okay. But I digress. Okay, so...
Okay, let's hear the bill.
This smells an awful lot like a quick cash grab, because it's easy, right? You got 20 moms or dads sitting in a school pickup line where you can't run, and it's easily provable that their cars are idling. It's hard to prove at a stoplight that your car's idling, right? If you're with the windows up, if you're a police officer looking at the car next to you or whatever. But there
are traffic signals out there that are timed that are more than 3 minutes. You're idling.
That's right.
Okay. What do you do?
So let's get into the bill because they tried to cover some of that. All right.
Good luck.
You can find this on Nashville.gov. By the way, it's Bill BL 2020-114. Okay. An ordinance to amend Chapter 10.56 of the Metropolitan Code to limit the idling of motor vehicles. Be it enacted by the Council of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Well, you people sound like you got your act together there. Section 1, that Chapter 10.56 of the Metropolitan Code of the Law is hereby amended to create a new Section 10.56.310 as follows. Okay.
Right.
No person shall cause or permit the engine of a motor vehicle other than an authorized emergency vehicle as defined in Section 12.04.020 to idle for longer than 3 minutes while parking, standing, or stopping. So right out of the top, everybody that's in emergency services is exempt.
Yep. Cops, you name it.
So your big polluters aren't even required to follow this.
And again, let me reiterate, those vehicles that they are driving, they are modified from their original emission standard.
So
they're not as clean as your car.
Starting to smell a whole lot more like a cash grab. Okay, so and oh, by the way, why am I being required to stand in line or to wait in line with my car idling? By the way, sometimes for 30 minutes at an emissions test station,
which
so
is really.
Right.
Modern vehicles.
State of Washington just did away with it, right?
Boom. Get away with it.
Because why?
Boom. Because most modern vehicles are as clean as they possibly can be. With the emission standards that are out there today, these things are running far cleaner than they ever have. They're running far more efficient than they ever have. So the goal of sticking it to the auto manufacturers for the past 20 years really has been met. They've reduced emissions.
Yeah.
And we're not only talking about just the average automobile, we're also talking about over-the-road haulers. You're talking diesel engines that are emission compliant. That comes with the On-Highway Act. So our industry, the engine manufacturing industry, the automakers, equipment makers, they have all been tasked with cleaning vehicles up, and that's where we're at. That's why I said that this person is very ill-informed about what is really causing emissions. And we'll get into the other things that she talked about in this particular thing about kids not getting in school because of asthma problems.
Okay.
And we'll get there.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm going to, yep.
And they're blaming it all on the emissions. Okay?
Yes. So Tanya, if you're watching, okay? Yeah. I will make a deal with you, okay? If you want to try to pass this bill, let's do away with the emissions line first, okay? Ooh, my camera. I got to fix my focus. There we go. Okay,
I saw that.
Let's get rid of this nonsense emissions testing that I have to take my cars through every year. Which honestly, I've watched what these guys do. I don't think the intended outcomes are always happening. So you do away with that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can talk about this idling law. That's step number 1. All right. So then part B.
Mm-hmm.
No person shall cause or permit the engine of a motor vehicle other than an authorized emergency vehicle. Again, here we go with those exemptions. Longer than 1 minute. To idle for longer than 1 minute if such motor vehicle is within an established school zone while parking, standing, or stopping. Well, I guess that includes all the school buses, right, Che?
It would. It would seem to me that would be part of that.
Because school buses pollute way more than a passenger vehicle, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're larger
10,
engines.
12 times. Yeah.
You've got some diesel applications. But, again, onboard emissions have come a long way. Okay,
so here we go. Subsections A and B, which we just read, shall not apply to the following. When a vehicle is stopped for an official traffic control device or signal, or for traffic conditions over which the driver has no control, including but not limited to a line of traffic, a railroad crossing construction zone, or the direction of law enforcement. All right.
What about drive-thrus for McDonald's?
Huh? It's not in there.
It's not in
there? Good question.
Oh.
When necessary for safety or an emergency. All right, fair enough. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When necessary for vehicle maintenance. All right, fair enough. When necessary to accomplish work for which the vehicle was designed except transporting passengers or to operate equipment. See, now that right there, and I was going to go here.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, they're exempting. Okay.
Yep.
You go. Most of us go to the grocery store to buy food, unless you own a huge farm. Most of that food, if it's refrigerated or it's required to be refrigerated or frozen, comes in on big semi trucks.
They
have refrigeration units in them. That refrigeration unit is always running. The engine is always running.
Yep.
Those things are huge. They pollute a lot more than a passenger vehicle does. They don't have a choice. If you want your food to keep from going bad, you've got to keep it refrigerated. And they just exempted them in this. So this is strictly targeted at passenger vehicles.
That's right.
At this point, okay? Number 5, school buses actively engaged in the discharge or pickup of students.
Okay.
Fine, but then you're not solving any pollution problem.
No, they're not, because what they're doing is they're exempting the biggest offenders of this. They're exempting the biggest offenders.
So then it goes on to say school buses that are idling for periods where the temperature is below 40 degrees or above 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so they can run their heat or their air conditioning. Okay.
Well, do they mention the locomotives that are sitting and idling at Radnor Yard there?
No.
No. I see. Okay.
No, and there's one right there.
What about what's that boat that goes up and down the Cumberland there from Opryland?
The river taxis or the General Jackson? Both of them. Yeah. No, we're not. No, man.
They're all exempt.
You know why? Because they can't get $50 from them.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so look, if your goal is to try and reduce emissions, that's great. That's a noble attempt. Show me the data that says this is going to make a difference.
Right.
Show it to me.
Well, they
can't because you don't have the money to pay for the research firm to go do the work.
And then when the research firm comes back with the reality of this,
it's insignificant
scheme that you're trying to pass off on the taxpayers there.
Yeah, it's just not going to matter.
No, it's ridiculous.
And let's think about this angle for a minute. And this is going to be a future podcast. I think we've both been itching to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Starting your vehicle excessively is going to cause more wear on that engine. And if you do this, you're making people turn their cars off a lot more. Mm-hmm. You're going to cause premature wear in that engine. It's going to end up in a landfill. Mission accomplished. Now you're polluting. You've You've worn out a car before it needed to be worn out, and now you've got a landfill problem.
This almost sounds like to me, you know how when you purchase an app or a phone or a piece of software that you install, and you have this agreement that you have to, agree to before you can even proceed.
The EULA, the End User License Agreement that nobody reads.
Nobody reads that stuff. This is what these guys are doing. They don't understand what they are not accomplishing by doing this.
If you've got data that says this is going to make a huge difference, show it to us, okay?
Yeah.
But right now it just smells and looks like it's a cash grab. And it's the same thing with the texting laws. Like, most of these guys, most of us would agree that distracted driving or trying to text or operate your phone, you're adding an unnecessary risk while operating a motor vehicle, and you're going to probably get in an accident sooner or later as a result of texting and driving or whatever, right?
Hey, yeah, well, I'm blown away at the number of police officers in their units
So no argument here, right, from me, and probably none from you, that the phone safety thing is a legitimate issue. But you've exempted the biggest offenders of this whole rule, which is the cops riding around with laptops sitting in the middle of their console. And I was behind one yesterday, and he's freaking typing while he's driving down the road. And I was watching him do it.
Right.
And here's the thing. If this is a legitimate safety issue, there isn't some special training that cops get that teaches them how to drive distracted. That doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
If it's unsafe, it's unsafe. And that means that they need to pull over and do what they're supposed to do. But just writing them off, you're asking for trouble, because if somebody gets hit and it happens, and I've seen it happen, then it gets quickly swept under the rug because that guy was on his laptop. Okay,
that's right.
Now you're a hypocrite because you're basically enforcing laws for some but not all.
That's right. It's unfair. But again, there's unfairness here, but there's also just poor. I mean, this person is ill-informed, man.
Right.
Ill-informed.
And
that's all.
I don't have anything against police. Look, you have a very tough job. You're not paid enough to do the job you're being asked to do. You're not making the laws. I understand that. You have to enforce them. And you're just trying to get your job done. And if people tell you it's okay to do the laptop thing or to let your car idle, that's not your fault. I'm not singling you guys out. This is not about that. I'm just pointing to the hypocrisy, and as you're saying over there, Jay, the amount of just it's just an ill-informed attempt. So speaking of the ill-informed attempt here, let's just blame this on asthma, or blame asthma on this.
Yeah, so that was I'm glad you went there, because
I'm licking my finger and holding it in the air.
I watched the news story, the video.
Yeah.
From the local affiliate there in Nashville that was one of the ones that broke the story yesterday. She's talking about the fact that kids are missing school due to asthma-related problems or respiratory problems. And what did I say? I told you. I said, well, just by, geographically where Nashville is and the type of flora and fauna there, the bottom line is it just is kind of, that's what Nashville is.
Yeah, so
it's a bowl.
That's right. I never use. It's often described as a bowl. And I never used to have allergy problems. The first 5 years I lived here, I didn't, and then they started to get pretty bad. There's a couple theories on what is contributing to that, and it has to do, one of them, which is super interesting, has to do with people moving here from all over the country and all over the world, which we know is happening, and they're bringing the plants native to wherever they came from. And then you have this pollinization, so to speak, that's not natural to the area.
Right.
And the air can't handle it. So we've got, there are areas in Florida and Arizona that if you look at like allergy charts, never used to be a factor in the 70s, and it's a huge problem now, and that's the same reason. People are bringing things that aren't native to that area in. And that causes, and especially in the spring, you get all those pollutants in the air from the plants.
the car emissions are not the root cause for this. I will say that probably during the summer months, because of the amount of commute times, which that adds to it. You have a lot of that, but you're commuting. You can't turn your car off in traffic.
Nobody is saying, well, and they exempt you from that, but nobody is saying that there isn't some level of pollution happening from cars idling. The parts counter gurus are not standing here saying, nope, it's all complete nonsense. No. We're just saying that this attempt to fix it is not anything other than an attempt to get more money to the city government. It's not going to it's not going to solve anything. That's what we're saying.
Right. Now, I had a solution.
All right.
I told
I'm
you
all ears.
When we said that.
Wait, let me write this down for the I Told You So episode next year. Okay.
Let's go back to the number one offenders of idling.
Emergency services.
Emergency services.
Yep.
Why are they exempt in all situations? Because apparently that's the way it's come across to me that they are. And that would include running into a store to grab a cup of coffee while your vehicle's sitting out there idling, which happens, guys.
Oh, I have friends on, I'm not going to name like where, but just law enforcement, okay?
Yeah.
And they carry an extra key basically in their pocket, on their like person as part of their like uniform. And they leave the existing key in the car and they leave the car running and then they get out of the vehicle and they lock it.
Right.
So that now they'll tell you like, I just want to keep my car warm, or it's not really going to aid them in getting away if they get a call. Like you get in, you push the button, you go. It's not, but they leave it running for that very reason. And a lot of these guys don't, especially in the winter, they're riding around in the car so much they don't wear coats. So they just leave the car nice and toasty, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not ganging up on these guys. We're just saying.
I mean, I would do it if they let me do it.
Absolutely. But if you want to add some money to the bottom line, or bring back, then have them make it mandatory for these guys, if it is not an emergency type situation, for them to turn their vehicles off and not idle to save fuel.
Well,
and reduce emissions.
And
I'm just, there's ways of.
I'm going to make this statement so that nobody comes back after you, but depending on how short of an idle we're talking, let's say you're in a school line and you turn it off, and then 30 seconds later you start the car and move up 4 or 5 spots, and then you turn it off again, and then 30 seconds later rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah.
I could make the argument that you're wasting more fuel in the start process than you would to just let it idle, especially in that short of amount of time, because it takes more fuel to combust a starting engine than it does an idling engine.
Yeah. Well, if it's warm. Yeah, I know, but if it's warm, it's All
right. Yeah, that. Well, yeah. But still, I don't know. I mean, one of the reasons I got to turn the engine off is I don't know how long I'm going to be sitting here. And, if it's a minute, I could get, so I just turn it off, right? Well, then I move. 20 seconds later, 30 seconds later, I start the car. Then, what do you do, Jay? Do you bust out the smartphone timer and you hit start and you sit there and, it's getting to 50 seconds. Now I got to cut the engine. I mean, come on, man.
Well, there you go. And again, too, who is going to be policing this, by the way? Who?
Right.
Do we not have enough to police?
Well,
seriously.
Exactly. So these guys that are already underpaid in law enforcement.
Is it going to be the emission patrol?
And we're going to just send them out writing tickets for this?
Right.
Because they've got enough on their plate already, I promise. Like, especially in Nashville, where they're saying, we don't have enough help. These guys are working extra long shifts. They're tired. Yeah, I don't want them doing this. Like, they got enough to worry about. I don't want them doing this. This is not what they trained for.
In this proposed ordinance, man, is there anything in there that says that's related to like all the beer truck delivery, down for the honky tonks, man?
So they do kind of offer an exemption when it says when necessary to accomplish work for which the vehicle was designed. So if it's a beer truck, it's designed to be a beer truck. The work being delivering product, right?
Yeah. So UPS, FedEx, and all those guys they'll be exempt. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, UPS especially, and I've noticed this over the past 4 or 5 years, those guys turn the engine off at every single delivery point.
There's a lot of start and stop. Yeah, I noticed that here
Every single one.
In our subdivision where I'm at.
Yep. They turn it off. He'll go down 4 houses, turn it off again, go down another 4 houses, turn it off again. Every time he gets out of the truck, he turns it off.
Now, the Postal Service, different story.
Oh, yeah, they don't care.
I mean, I've noticed the Postal Service, because we have our mailboxes are, because we live in a condominium, so we have this big, huge wall of mailboxes. They're just keeping the thing running and delivering their mail, and that's it.
So you're going to get me fired up on the Postal Service, because I sent my sister something, and they charged her. I weighed it, and it was under an ounce, and so I just put a regular stamp on it, and there was a piece of metal in there. It was an ornament, okay?
Yeah.
And she gets a notice that she's got to come down to the post office and pay him an additional...
And pay for it.
Because I think somebody got a ruler out and it was slightly too thick. The envelope was too thick or something.
That's insane.
Well, it is. And I understand they got their rules, Yeah. But then I started thinking, I had myself a good laugh this morning. I got a letter, and it belonged to a guy who had the same house number, but he lives in a completely different street. And they're not even named the same. Like, one street starts with a K and the other one starts with a C. And they don't sound the same, okay?
Right.
And I get his mail all the time. And I thought, well, how much could I charge you guys for misdelivery? I'll do it for you. You want my bill? I'll take it down there. Take it down there to him all the time. I'm going to start charging you for that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, the Postal Service has lost their way.
Okay. So if you are watching or listening to this and you are, I want to just, in closing, mention a couple things here. So this is not going to be unique to Nashville. This kind of thing right here is going to crop up in city councils all over the country. They're going to try this nonsense. Be ready for it. Okay. Use this podcast as a reference. Okay. Go do your own homework, but use this as a starting point. If you are in the Nashville area and you are affected by this, be respectful, but please reach out to your elected officials in the city government at that level, including the mayor. Okay. Please do not harass Tanya Hancock over this. Just tell her it's a bad idea, but be respectful. That's all I'm asking.
That's good points, Keith.
There's
good
no
points.
need to look. We're not. Just be civil, okay? That's it. She'll get the message. She'll get the message.
Make your point. Make your point. And as a taxpayer, you have that right. She is a public figure for you. She's there for you. Speaks for you. So you need to let her know how you feel about it. But
and
again, like you said, be nice.
Maybe hold off on the bright ideas,
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to anything I missed on that whole segment of
No, I really don't think so. I think we've covered it. I mean, it's just more of a frustration factor for you more so than me, because I'm in an area now where we're realizing that we can actually reduce some of those testings, and I think our people out here are getting it. But we've been doing the emission controls and emission standards out this way for a long time. So, anyway, that's my sympathies, my friend.
Thanks, buddy.